Welcome back to the vlog. We're going to be over at Capital Casino. This is a short session that happened last week. I knew I didn't have a lot of time to play on this particular day. I had some things to get done. So I played a little bit faster than normal. And these are the results. Sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. Well, 5 minutes into the session, I pick up ace-jack suited from middle position, open for a raise to 15. I get called from the player in the hijack, the button, and the big blind. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop with 61 in. Flop comes out queen, jack, deuce. 1 spade, 2 hearts. We have second pair with a good kicker and a backdoor flush draw and straight draw. It's check to me, so I decided to bet $40. A little bit larger than normal for me. And I kind of want to clear out the field, find out who has what, and don't give anyone a cheap price to draw. Only get 1 caller from the player in the hijack. It's possible he has a queen. It's possible he has a straight or flush draw. I think it's more likely he has a straight or flush draw. So when a 4 of clubs comes on the turn, I'm going to continue with my aggression and bet again. He thinks for a little while before putting in the call. I believe when he does this, he's more calculating the odds, so more likely he has a draw. River card comes as a queen of diamonds, which is a really interesting card. So at this point, I can put out a blocking bet, and if I get raised, I can fold to someone who has a queen, because he's probably only going to be raising with a queen. Or I can check it over to him and see if he wants to turn his misdraw into a bluff. I decided just to go ahead and bet it, and if I got raised, I was going to go ahead and fold. I didn't think he would turn his hand into a bluff, and plus I wanted to keep an aggressive image and not have to show my cards if it gets checked through. So he looks at his hand for a little bit and throws it away with disgust. Looked like he had a missed flush draw. The very next hand, I pick up king 10 suited from the +1 position, open for a raise to 15. End up getting 4 callers, including one from the hijack who had about $190 to $200 left in their stack. We go 5 ways to a flop with 78 in, and we get king, jack, 9. 2 hearts, 1 diamond. This time I decided to check it because one of the players is fairly tight, and sure enough, when I check it over to them, they put out a bet for $70. Yeah. This I would just normally fold. Most likely they have a king better than mine, but there is a possibility they have something like a jack with a flush draw, and I can beat that. Or maybe a nut flush draw. They only have another $100 behind, so I said, screw it, let's just rip it in there. I get snap called, and I go, yeah, you're probably good. And we get to see a run out of a 3 and a deuce. I show my hand, and they show king, queen. So, yeah, this was a punt.
You can play fast without being a donkey.
Well, it's time for a dealer change, so it's bomb pot time. Everyone put in $10, and there's only 7 of us playing. And I got position, and I got king, jack, offsuit. And it's checked around to me, and I say, well, what the heck? Let's just put out a $40 bet. No one seems interested in this pot. See if we can take it down. It doesn't look like anyone has anything because one by one they all started to fold. Last player did take a little bit longer, but they finally released their hand, and we get a free $70. We have a new player sit down in the middle of the table in seat 5. He's an aggressive player who is very fun to play with, and he opens for 20 from under the gun, and I make it 70 with my ace-king, and he puts in a quick call. I played a lot of poker with him, and he knows how to play, but sometimes he can really just turn up the aggression. Here I get a beautiful flop. He checks it to me. I bet small, thinking that he might try to take this away, see my small bet as weakness, but he just puts in the call. Turn card comes as a 7 of hearts. There's 2 flush draws out there. Normally I would bet a lot bigger, but as I said, he has a tendency to jump on weakness. So I just bet a small amount, and he puts in another quick call. The river card completes the backdoor flush draw, and he checks again really quick. I'm not sure about my sizing. I bet 100 just because I'm trying to get some value out of someone with a pair, or maybe he might even call me down with, say, king high if he really thinks I'm out of line here. So he goes in the tank for quite some time, and I don't think he has very much. Maybe he has a pocket pair. It's hard to say. Just hoping for a call at this point. If I bet bigger, I don't think I would get a call from him unless he thought it was just a stone cold bluff. Anyway, he puts in the call. I roll my hand over, and he quickly mucks it. And we take this one down, but I'm looking back on it. I think maybe I lost out on value. Maybe I should have been betting a little bit bigger all the way through the hand. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you think my bet sizing was too small. Again, I was trying to entice him to make a play at me. So the same player over the last few minutes have taken a couple beats that were kind of nasty, and he's probably pretty steamed. He made it a live 34, which is kind of large for a 1-3 game. I decided to put in a min raise with 2 9s and make it 68. He, in turn, jammed all in. So this is kind of what I was thinking he would do last hand with a small raise. He'll just like pick a hand and go with it. And I think 9s are definitely ahead of his range. It looks like a pretty good board for us when it comes 7-6 deuce. River was a king, somewhat concerning, and he rolled over 9-5 of clubs. So he was ready to go. I think he was a little bit steamed at the player who beat him out of a big pot. I was kind of lucky to pick up a hand when he was in punt formation. So good for me. Got back that money I lost on that second hand with the king 10 of diamonds. There's one person who limps in front of me. I look at ace queen clubs, raise to 15, end up getting 3 callers, including the player in the cutoff who only has $50 left in his stack. Flop comes out. Ace 4-5 with 1 club. Pretty good flop. First player checks me, and I was trying to decide on how much I wanted to bet. But when I saw the player in the cutoff grab his stack and looking like he wanted to bet, so I checked it over to him, and he sure enough jams all in for $33. Yeah, not a lot, but oh well. Hoping that I can get one of those players to put in a loose call, which happens to the player in seat 5. Now it's time to go ahead and put in a check raise. Trying to build a side pot. I decided to raise $70 on top. So I don't think he has too much. Maybe this is a little bit too aggressive, but there's a lot of possible draws out there. I don't want someone to stay in there with like a 6-8 and catch a 7 or a random deuce or a 3 and make a wheel. And if he has an ace with a weaker kicker, I don't want him to hit his kicker, make him pay for it, right? Anyway, he thinks for a while and finally decides on a fold. So once he folds, I get to get my chips back on the side, and we get to see a runoff, which comes 7 of spades and then 8 of hearts, and my opponent shows me ace 7 of hearts. Well, there's no time to rest or cry about the last hand, so very next hand, I look down at 2 jacks from middle position. The player under the gun opens for 11. I make it 40. It gets folded around the table back to him, and he has to call 29 more to see a flop. He thinks that's a bargain, so he puts in some chips, and we're headed off heads up with $84 in the pot. The flop comes, well, you might say slightly above average. Comes jack 6 deuce with 2 clubs. He checks over to me. I lead for 25. He puts in the quick call. Not too many hands you can have when I have the jacks locked up, so he's most likely on some sort of flush draw. I don't want to give him a cheap draw. If he has just overcards, I think he's going to fold to just about any bet. So I make it 85, targeting flush draws. He might have picked up some sort of gut shot straight draw, or maybe even open end straight draw with his flush draw. Who knows? Anyway, $85 seems to be the right price. He goes into the tank for a very long time. I'm going to fast forward this, but he did end up folding his hand. So I'll take the pot as it is. Well, we're definitely catching some cards. There's a $6 straddle. Player limps in. I got 2 kings. I raise to 25. Get a call from a player behind me, one from the blinds, and one from the original limper. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with $109 in the center. Flop comes out rainbow 983. Pretty good flop for my hand. Was thinking about betting about $60, but the player in front of me leads right into me for 50. Well, he could be doing this with a straight draw. He could be doing this with a pair above the nines. He could be doing it with a hand like pocket nines, pocket eights, maybe even 9-8 suited. But with the other 2 players behind me, I don't want to give any cheap cards to draw at this thing. So I decided to put in a raise, and I make it 125. This should be enough to force them out if they have a mediocre draw. If they have Jack 10, they might be coming. Who knows? They might lay it down. 7-6, same thing. Anyway, the other players decide to fold out, which I was happy about, and it comes back around to the player in middle position. He thought for about 5 seconds and then says, all in. And I'm going, wow, that's kind of surprising. If you flopped it, you flopped it. You have pocket nines, pocket eights. Maybe 9-8 suited. There's 2 combinations of that, 3 combinations of nines, 3 combinations of eights. I didn't really think he would come in with 3s. So I'm going, okay, there's 8 combinations I'm worried about. And there's like all those pocket 10s and pocket jacks I beat, all those jack 10s I beat. All right, I'm calling. I don't think I have a choice. It's only $112 more. So I stick it in. Tell him if you got it, you got it. 9s or 8s are good. Comes out 4 spades and a queen of diamonds, and he showed king jack suited. So I think he was just trying to make a move on me, wanted to make the vlog. Well, the good news is you made the vlog. Bad news is that you gave me a bunch of chips. Anyway, I did talk to him later about the hand, and he says he's going to get revenge. Well, that was the end of this session, but you guys liked the bonus hand so much that I decided to give you 2 more. And this first one was like really, really interesting. Well, I've been in the game for about 30 minutes now, and I finally pick up a real hand. I'm up about $60, and I got 2 kings in middle position. I have a limper in front of me. I make it $20. End up getting 4 callers. 2 of them are short stacks, and one of them has a pretty decent sized stack of a little over $450. Flop comes out 8-5 deuce with 2 clubs. Pretty good flop for kings. Player to my right leads right into me for $35. Well, I feel a raise is basically mandatory in this situation. The player to my right doesn't have a very large stack. He has like $180 to $200. I decided to make it 90. I kind of want to make it big enough that I'll clear out some of the other players and that he wouldn't like run to the hills. Looking back on this, I shouldn't really worry about the short stack so much. I should really target the bigger stacks and raise a little bit larger. The player on my left goes all in for a little bit short. I think they had $73. And the other player folded out. And now it's to the player in the 9 seat, who's a very competent player I played with quite a bit. He has about 400 and change in his stack right now. He's showing interest. So I think if he had a set, which would be my main concern, he would raise at this point, trying to get any kind of flush draw out. So I'm really putting him on a flush draw in this situation. The player on my right also puts in the call. I really don't think he's too strong. Maybe he just has a pair of 8s at this point. So the dealer's trying to figure out the side pot. And once he gets that all squared away, we're going to see a turn card with 3 active players and 1 player all in. Turn card comes is a jack of hearts. The player to my right checks. I'm going to jam all in. Basically, I'm giving the wrong odds to someone with a flush draw to draw out on me. If he has a flush draw, He's going to be negative EV calling this unless it's a giant combo draw. He does release it. The other player to my right also decides not to put in the call, and he ends up folding out as well. So I get the little side pod, $51, and we get to see a river card which came Jack of clubs. So the other player would have made his flush. He made a good laydown, and the other players at the table didn't appreciate his laydown. They think that it was a bad play. And for our final hand, we have 9-8 suited in the small blind. There's a raise to 13 and a bunch of callers, and yeah, I'm going to be calling. 9-8 suited goes very well. Can flop straights, flushes, and sometimes you can even flop trips. Perfect flop, I check. It gets checked around to an aggressive player who bets out for $20. Yeah, he's a good player. He's just putting out a little feeler bet, trying to find out where he's at. Player to my right jams all in for his remaining stack. Yeah, it's not much. It's like, I don't know, $80 or so. Definitely going to be calling. I don't think there's any value in raising at this point. I would my hand looks face up already with me checking and calling a bet and a raise. It's folded around to the player who initially bet the $20. He's a smart player. He knows I have at least an 8 in this spot, so he gets out of the way. We see a turn card of a 9 of hearts. We make a full house and a blank deuce on the river. And I told him I had a full house, and he showed that he had pocket tens. All right, your favorite part of the vlog, finding out the results. That first day, I played for 2 hours. I won $810, which is pretty good considering that I punted off $200 on that second hand. I don't know. Some of you say it's not a punt, but I felt that, I was probably way behind and I stuck the money in anyway. So for me, that's a punt. And the second day, I ended up winning $500. Didn't play too long on that day either. Had some things I had to get done, but I know you understand. Anyway, I really do appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. I also want to say thank you to all those new subscribers that have recently joined. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. And for my loyal fan base, man, you guys are the best. Anyway, until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.